And today I'm going to start giving this closet a makeover. This is our primary bedroom closet. It's a small house, small room, small closet. This is the only closet in here. And my husband and I share this closet. There is just too much stuff and too much wasted space. So it is time to put all of this space to work and give it some nice organization. And I need to get it done in 4 days because we have some guests coming over right after. So I really got to get this done. Let's do it. Step one is obviously the demo, and one of the things that I wanted to pay attention as I was demoing the entire closet was to try and reuse as much of the material as possible. Specifically these long shelves, they can easily be cut down and reused as the shelving in my final closet. I also took out the baseboards really carefully because I wanted to make sure to be able to use them later as well. And then I patched up everywhere it needed to be patched up, specifically wherever I had taken off the braces for the shelves, had literally unfinished drywall. So I patched all of that up with spackling, and also I patched up all the damage I did while I was demoing. And once it was completely patched up, I sanded it smooth, applied some primer and some paint. Now, while the paint is drying, I'm going to go ahead and start building the closet organizer, which is basically built out of plywood. To rip down the plywood, I love using my Kreg Rip Cut along with a circular saw. It can fit any circular saw, and all you do is you set up the width of the plywood that you need to cut out and set it up on your sheet of plywood and just cut. And if you are intimidated by the circular saw or any other power tools, I have a jargon-free, beginner-friendly course called Power Tools School, which goes into all the details of 6 beginner-friendly tools and teaches you exactly how they work and why they work the way they do, so you can confidently build. I will add more information about that in the description below. And with all of the pieces cut, it is time to start making the pocket holes. I am using the Kreg 720, but you can really use any pocket hole jig. You can start with the Kreg 320 or the 520 or even the R3. The pocket holes are basically made on all the ends of the stationary shelves, but you also have to make pocket holes on some of the braces where you have to make sure that you put some pocket holes on the inside and some on the outside. And this basically depends on the placement and if you will be able to see those pocket holes or not. And if you mess it up, it's no big deal because wood filler is your friend. Of course, only if you are going to be painting your closet. All right, now let's assemble this. The first thing I want to do is mark where the baseboards hit the bottommost shelf, and that's where the bottommost shelf is going to go. So I applied wood glue and attached the bottommost shelf using pocket hole screws, making sure that that shelf stayed perfectly aligned. Now for the next middle shelf, I measured, I marked, I used a speed square to make sure everything was aligned and attached it using pocket holes. I designed the tower to be 16 inches deep so I could have deeper shelves and drawers, but the standard is 11¼ inches, and having the 16-inch meant that I would not be able to reach up to the topmost shelf. In order to account for that, I made an angled cut at the top of both of the sides of the tower. And once I had that cutout done, I went ahead and attached the topmost shelf to the sides using wood glue and pocket hole screws. Now with this side complete, I'm just going to turn this over onto the other side, make sure everything is aligned with my speed square and tape measure, and then I'm just going to go ahead and attach it with wood glue and pocket hole screws. Now time for the back brace, and it was a pretty tight fit and needed a mallet to get it into place. And that is the storage tower. Now we need to build one more module for the closet, and this is only going to have one side because it is going to attach to the storage tower that we already built, and it is built the exact same way, including the back brace. Now we do need to cover up those plywood edges, and there are many ways of doing this. You could use edge banding or trim, but I like to use wood filler because it's the cheapest and the fastest option, especially because I'm going to be painting it. Once it's dry, a quick sanding gives you a nice smooth edge ready for primer and paint, which is exactly what I did. And then I used the shelf pin jig to make holes for shelf pins for adjustable shelves. We're ready to install. I got the help of my mini-me to help carry the entire storage tower into the closet. It took us a little bit of angling to get it in, but we did. The next step was to find and mark all of the studs in the walls so I could attach these towers and all of the shelving and braces to the wall. I started by attaching one of the braces for the shelves on one side of the wall, and on the other side I attached the brace to the shelf to make sure that the shelf is nice and tightly attached. And then I marked exactly where the shelf would reach and aligned my storage tower to that mark and attached the storage tower using long screws through the back brace into the studs. Now, because I did a great job measuring, I had a nice tight fit for that shelf, so I needed a mallet to push it in place, which I did, and then I attached it into the wall, into the stud, as well as using pocket hole screws to the storage tower. Now it's time to attach the next module, which was pretty straightforward. It attaches with pocket hole screws to the storage module, and it attaches using long screws into the studs. Plus, we also used pocket hole screws on the top of the upper shelf that can be attached to the storage tower. And then I attached the last shelving as well. And just so you can see that things don't always go smoothly. Things do fall apart. But I got it to work and everything is attached nice and securely to the wall. Now it's time to build drawers, and building drawers can seem a little intimidating, but trust me, it is pretty straightforward. It is just like building a box. In fact, I have a complete video where I show you 3 beginner-friendly ways of building drawers, and I will add a link to that in the description below. It goes into all the details of building drawer boxes, installing them, installing the drawer fronts, whether you are using inset or overlay drawers. In this case, I am using overlay drawer fronts, which are basically drawer fronts that come out of the frame. At this point, I realized that one of the sets of the shelf pin holes that I made on the storage module were not going to work because the storage module was 16 inches and the other module was 11¼ inches. So I had to make a whole new set of holes, and I had to make sure that they were aligned and completely parallel to the older holes. So I did a little bit of rigging with boards and aligning, and finally made those shelf pin holes, which worked. So I went ahead and covered up the other shelf pin holes with wood filler, and once it's painted over, you will not even know it's there. I added more boards on the sides of the closet for the closet rod holders, attached the closet rod holders to it. The bottom shelf of the narrow console was not attached to anything, so I slid in a couple of 2x2 boards and attached those boards to the plywood as well as some screws from the top, and now that shelf is not going anywhere. And it all gets covered up with baseboard. Then I caulked all of the seams, filled up all of the visible holes, and then it is time to add in the shelf pins and the shelves, as well as the drawers with the drawer pulls installed. And there, my friends, is the complete built custom closet. And it is done. I finished in just the nick of time. I did all of the touch-up paints last night, and this morning I loaded everything up. And you know, in those, all of the closet organizer DIY videos, how they built all of the closet and then they put in like 5 pieces of clothing? Well, I'm guilty of that as well. But this time I'm showing you exactly everything that's going to go inside this closet. And it still has space left. That is the magic of having an organizer. This is everything that was there. There's a little bit more. We've got shoes in here, something that was not there in the closet before. And I almost have about 3/4 of that shelf open right now, as well as one drawer is pretty much empty. So I've got more space to buy more clothes and fill them up. And yes, it's complete real life, complete with a rolling laundry basket, because who wants to carry a hamper across the house to the laundry? I have also created the step-by-step detailed plans for this organizer. So if you want those, they will be linked in the description below. I've also added a few more organizational details that make it a little bit more organized and easier and functional, like these clear acrylic organizers. They're super easy. They slide in, they keep things separated and nicely organized, especially in the shelves. And one of my favorite things, the motion sensor lights that turn on when you reach inside the closet. And they're basically magnetic and they just go onto your closet frame. That is it. I'm gonna go ahead and add the closet doors back on. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Next up, I have a workbench with storage coming up, so stay tuned for that. And if you aren't already, be sure to hit subscribe, because you don't want to miss out on the next few projects. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.